Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we'll be talking about a very chaotic weather pattern. Now, this weather pattern is one of the more extremely active ones I've seen probably since, honestly, maybe in a few years. It's truly just extraordinary. The amount of precipitation it will be kind of flowing into the United States, especially the western United States. Some of the amounts of precipitation are truly quite profound, especially given the fact that it is a La Nina year, especially given that the forecasts were predicting a much drier than average winter for those locations. And right now we are dealing not only with an average winter, right, we are dealing with a extremely above average precipitation so far event for much of the western United States. Now I want to start talking about this because there's so much to cover. So before we do that, I do want to say that if you do enjoy this channel, check out the other videos. Check out the other, check out the other videos. Watch this video, see if you do enjoy it. If you do, consider subscribing, consider liking the video, and leave a comment if you want. So I'll answer as many as I can. All right, let's start talking about this. And again, there's a ton to cover. So this is a very active pattern. Let me just flow the GFS model. Let me just kind of play it into motion and show you how much precipitation. So just look at this. Just observe again. Just watch the map, right? Choose your location on the map. You can see it's pretty clear. The states outlined, and I mean, just look how many storm systems, right? It's very hard to track. There's so many of them, one after the other. Precip mass from the Gulf, from the Atlantic, from the Pacific, from every body of water there is moisture being extracted from, including the Great Lakes, right? The lake effect after each individual storm. I'll just let that play again. And again, the difference between the models on each individual storm is pretty absurd, right? They're not really agreed on anything whatsoever, even systems that are less than 2 to 3 days out. But it's just consistent that it's an extremely hyperactive pattern. And now let me slow this down and show you kind of bit by bit what we can expect in the more shorter term forecast. So right now we do have a system pulling away from the northeast that did drop quite a bit of snow, especially for Maine. And notice that the western United States is now starting to see that stream of moisture, and this will continue into 12 a.m. So into the into the overnight hours of today and into tomorrow, Christmas Eve, if you will, right? And notice that precip really intensity does pick up, especially tomorrow. And again, I won't be doing day by day here because it's just way too detailed. It's way too fine to go day by day and show you each individual location across the United States and southern Canada. I have requests from all over the cities in the United States, and I can't do that. It's just not possible. So just follow the map, choose your location, and here's a timeline. So this is the December 23rd. You can see that precipitation from the west coast, which is just hammering those locations through today and tomorrow, and into Friday and Saturday on Christmas Day. That finally makes it out into the plains. Now, some models develop this into a pretty large, significant a system. You could see that, right, some models don't. The GFS really doesn't do much with this system. And even if they do develop it into a large or small system, which again, they have to decide that on that first, there's a lot of disagreement between the models on what to do with that system. Is it all rain? Is it going to be a bit of snow? Again, that is a bit uncertain, and you can see a bit of certain, again, is lightly put, and you can see that the GFS just shows a bit of rain for the Great Lakes, the Midwest, and zooms that system out of here before intensifying it a bit across the northeast coast. Now, again, you can see there's another system that moves into the west at that time frame, Monday, and that does drop a bit of snow, a bit of a stronger storm. And we have another system that develops. It's a bit different. It's more to the north, rain and snow either side of it, again further towards the north. And then we look into Wednesday, we have yet another storm that will be dropping tons of snow, right? And again, I could just go storm by storm by storm, but I won't. It's a waste of time. It's just way too far out. But if you live really anywhere in the United States, I want to show you actually something that will kind of explain what I'm trying to explain even better. Climate Prediction Center, it's their 6 to 10 day outlook. Look at their forecast. Almost every part of the country, other than Florida, will be above average in precipitation. So anywhere that you live, including southern Canada, they don't show southern Canada because this is a U.S. Forecasting agency. You could expect above average precip. Now, whether that's rain or snow, that's a bit hard to predict. And if anyone does claim they know, they're lying because no one really knows, especially with systems that are more than a few days out. Now, again, you can see a lot of above average precipitation continues into the 8 to 14 day outlook. Another very alarming thing with this pattern is this tight contrast with these temperatures. You can see we do have two air masses, giant ones, and they are both extreme on equal ends. Notice that 6 to 10 day outlook, the cold air is a bit more suppressed to the north and west. This will allow snow in cities like Seattle, Portland. There could be records broken here. Yes, widespread records. I mean, when you have this confidence from this Climate Prediction Center being this below average, it's concerning. Also, a heat wave across the south. That's definitely something to mention as well. As we push this further, however, and forward into time, notice that this cold air, it sustains itself, a bit less confidence because it's less further out, but it spreads, and the heat wave still continues across the southeast. It just dips further towards, well, the south. And then the precipitation I already showed you, it is above average for most of the United States. So that's really the main takeaway, a hyperactive pattern, and there is so many storm systems, and I'm just going to show you that the GFS disagrees with itself every other model run. Look at this one. Boom, there's a little clipper, there's a little storm. If you recall, that's pretty familiar to what it showed. That's definitely, that first one is definitely similar to the newest model run. It keeps consistency there, and it does show a bit of snow for the northeast. Notice that the west is continually seeing a stream of moisture and a stream of precipitation, and notice there's our second system. This one, at noon, the GFS developed a much stronger storm. It was still pretty significant in the newest model run, but it's weaker. The millibars are higher, and it dissipates a lot quicker with the newer model run. And then we have our second system again, or third I should say. That one dissipates quite quickly, and again the models are all over the place on that one. And then we have a big one potentially, the Canadian and GFS, or European I should say, developed this into a monster. The GFS really just takes that out of there and kind of zooms it away. But again, it's a significant storm. Whether or not this will be snow for Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan, maybe Indiana, maybe even as far as Missouri, it's just too far out. So just save your questions, because I can't answer that. I could speculate as much as you can by just looking at these weather models and making decisions, right? And you can see that it's just active, and that's every single model run has differences, but they're all active. Look at that, storm after storm after storm after storm. Now that's good news for the west. Anywhere else, it's also good news if you are in a drought, but it's also a very messy forecast. Look at some of the, look at that. I mean, that is 955 millibars of pressure. So not only to mention activity, but also potentially some monster storms. This is the Canadian, a different model. Look at all the storms across the west. Look at all that precip. It's a ton. And again, little events, little clippers. What they will do is very, very hard to predict. And again, there's so many of them. You have to be really specific if you want to, forecast for individual ones. So I won't be tracking individual storms. I'll be more likely just kind of going over the pattern and showing you day by day, what's coming next, where the snow and rain can be. And again, we're still a bit away from this kind of occurring, and we're getting finalized details on the storm or these storms, because once they start, it's one after the other. You can see the Canadian does bring a bit of a lull after the 27th system and the 28th failed storm, which the Canadian develops very weakly. There's a bit of a lull, but again, then it develops that massive beast that you saw. I mean, that would be a record breaker, a historic system if it were to actually get down to those low, that's like a category 3 major hurricane in terms of millibars. So that would be an absolute monster if that were to occur. Hopefully it doesn't, because that would definitely spark a lot of severe weather and what's not, and blizzard conditions. But again, you can see what the models are doing, right? They're all different. You can see the GFS never developed a beast like this. It developed a storm, just was never this strong. And you can see it was way more disorganized. Obviously, the snow is a bit further towards the south, and a different kind of organization. And look what the GFS shows in a very long term. A system that brings snow very far to the south even. So again, this isn't just the northern United States. Maybe for the meantime, it's going to be more towards the north of snowfall. But in the long range, this is going to be an active pattern that's going to really affect much of the United States, I think, by the end of January with a lot of snow. European, another model I like to look at. It is a very, very good model. And look at this. So we have that many systems moving into the west, right? Just one after the other. I can't track this out day by day. There's just way too much to fit into a 16-minute video. And notice right there, boom, that's the European system. The European model. What it does, it's way stronger, this system, than compared to the Canadian. The Canadian barely develops the system at that same time frame. Let me jump back to the Canadian and look at our, what was that, 114? Yeah, our 114. There it is. That is a very, very weak of a system compared to what the European shows. A very strong and potent, nasty one across Minnesota, Wisconsin. Could bring a lot of snow if it does, in fact, end up occurring, and boom, it goes away. Then we have another system to look at right there, a bit further towards the south with that snow. A lot of disagreement on the models between this one just 2 days later. What that does, you can see the European develops it, splits it away. We'll have to wait and see if that's accurate. Then the European, like the Canadian, does develop a very, very large system, but it's just not as significant as a Canadian. Still a monster of a storm. And then we have more systems moving in. This is just through 240 hours. Let me show you some of these precipitation amounts with, say, the Canadian. Again, this will definitely be extremely impressive because of, again, the above average pattern, hyperactivity, lots of snow where it's cold enough, especially the mountains. Truly legendary, if not historic amounts of snow. Precip, obviously, you can see reflecting where that heavy snow occurs, and that active pattern. GFS, even more impressive because it goes further out and it shows a bit more activity. This is a very impressive pattern. Total snowfall, also very impressive, even again for the southern areas, but especially the west. That is just historic. If, simply put, and you may not agree with that, that's perfectly fine. Based on the model's predictions, this is historic. I mean, if we were to see this much rain across some of these locations and snow, that would be, definitely out of the hand of normalcy. And you can see that again, a lot of the United States sees a lot of precip, a lot of snow, a lot of rain and whatnot. So this pattern is going to be active. And you can see the National Weather Service does have a lot of warnings up here, watches for the west. Again, that's to do with the systems that are imminently occurring, but it's just going to be a constant flow through the new year. Some areas could see up to 200 inches by the time the new year ends of additional snow in the mountains. Quite a forecast, yes, but it's becoming likely and more likely to occur. Look at some of these daily snowfall events. 1 to 2, 4 to 8, 12 to 18, 7 to 11, 5 to 9, and it just gets heavier and heavier, right? Christmas Day, 11 to 17, look, snow, 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 snow. It's constant, guys. This is really good news for the mountains that need it. It's just a bit too much. You're in kind of the short range, and you can see as a result there are some flash flood watches posted. This is just through Friday evening. Just through Friday evening. Some of these amounts could be 3 to 4 to 5 inches. And if you saw the forecast, right, this type of activity will continue way past just this upcoming Friday. This is Saturday, right? Boom, we have another system over the weekend. Swipes quite a bit of Southern California. And another one. And another one. And another one. So you can see that there's just going to be one after the other, even past these two this big one that we have going on right now. So there's just a lot of activity. Again, the cold air will be progressively kind of attacking, if you will, the United States from the north and west. Let me show you that using the temperature anomalies. Not this one. I don't like the 5-day average. Let me show you the 2-meter temperature anomaly. And let's play this. Let's play this forward. Boom, let's speed this up. Notice it starts off just across the north and west, those historically cold temperatures, but as we get further and further along, the heat gets suppressed and the cold spreads, and that's when the rest of the United States could start picking up a lot more snow and catching up on the deficits. For my area, we haven't even seen a tenth of a measurable inch here in Chicago. Nothing, and that's very unusual. We are already 8 inches of snow, but below average, and that's how much we were supposed to have, 8 inches. But we've had nothing, so I think we can quickly catch up, especially if we just get couple of those storms producing snow with all the abundant precip these systems have. And again, this snowfall, this rainfall, whatnot, is truly impressive. Let's go take a look at some of the short range models like the NAM 12KM. They go out to 84 hours. I think they do a good job though with this. And let me show you what happens in just the short term, again, storm by storm. Notice tonight, again, that precip intensifies across much of the west to quite a degree, especially across California. By tomorrow morning, we have a large area of precip, mainly rain, moving into the California area, converting to snow across Tahoe, really much of Northern California, and kind of the central Sierra. That is also bringing snow to Utah, the Bitterroots, Idaho, Wyoming, and whatnot. We also have a bit of snow across the Great Lakes. As we get towards the afternoon of tomorrow, that flow continues. It goes a bit further south now into Southern California as well. Still continues across the Cascades, the Bitterroots, the Grand Tetons, the Wasatch, and much of the Colorado Rockies, also much of Nevada seeing rain or snow. And then look, we have this final large push of precip into Southern California by late Thursday into early Friday. Again, that's why those flash flood watches are up. That's going to bring a ton of rain for Colorado once that rain turns into snow. And there we go. That's kind of the first system. But While that is still kind of dwindling away, notice by early Saturday we have yet another system moving into Northern California and a bit of a rainmaker slash snowmaker across the plains and United States. We'll have to see what the models exactly do with this, but you can see by this time frame, Sunday and Saturday, right, we have more snow moving in and more showers into California. Just through this time frame, we are going to be seeing a very reasonable, potentially 60 inches plus across the Sierra, especially the central to southern Sierras. And notice also extreme amounts across the mountains just in such a short time frame. All the other short range, like the RGEM model, the Canadian high res, support those high amounts of precipitation, at least snowfall in terms of total precip. Let me go back and click on total precip. It's also as impressive, and that's why those flash flood warnings and watches are all issued for these areas. And you can see that wherever that rain occurs on Sunday could also bring a bit of activity towards the Great Lakes. This one brings it just south of Chicago into Indiana, Indianapolis, Columbus, just south of Detroit, Kansas City, maybe a bit out of that. So we'll have to wait and see how that unfolds. FV3, it's a very high res, only goes out for 60 hours, shows a lot of precip, does show a lot of snow. And this takes us just through the kind of the evening of New Year's Eve, and just through this time frame, this high res model, just to show you the incredible kind of potential of these storms, just through New Year's Eve. So this is just a very late Friday afternoon. We have not even that late, to be honest, 6 p.m. We have over 48, possibly again up to 60 inches across the central and southern Sierra. Truly extraordinary amounts of precipitation. So yeah, and that's just the only beginning. And let me show you the GFS equivalent to that, right? Boom, look at that. More and more and more and more and more. And by the end, it's an absolute whiteout for the south and the west. So yeah, I would say that's pretty good news, but a very hyperactive pattern. Again, guys, have remembered it's such an active pattern in a while, definitely a few years, definitely. And this isn't just like a one-time, 1 week thing. This looks to continue well into January with lots of storms, lots of activity, and actually arguably getting more interesting as we start seeing more cold air availability and more snowstorm potential even further south, as the GFS is kind of hinting at. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all on the next episode. See ya. Bye.